to this episode of the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast. My musical co-host Phil Reese and I traveled to the Newtown Book and Record Exchange in Newtown, Pennsylvania to talk to singer-songwriter and shop owner Kacey Mitchell. Kacey is the founder of Dirty Dollhouse, a band that played Musikfest this past summer in Bethlehem and is made up of Kacey herself on guitar and lead vocals, Eric Lawry on drums, percussion, and backing vocals, August John Lutz II on electric guitar, and Joshua Machiz on bass. Atwood Magazine had this to say about Dirty Dollhouse. I quote, "In all Dirty Dollhouse's musical works, you can feel the homey Nashville vibe, wrapped like a warm blanket around your body. Her music is inspired by folk, country, and pop, so as to create a brand new intimate genre of her own. She is often compared to artists like Nicole Atkins, Kacey Musgraves, and Brandi Carlile. Mitchell, who has got a very unique vocal range, considers herself a singer-songwriter, as her songs represent an autobiographical vibe. It almost feels like reading and flicking through someone else's diary pages," end quote. We encourage you to watch the video portion of this podcast. You can find all of that in the show notes. You get to see the inside of the Newtown Book and Record Exchange, full of vinyls, full of really a lot of fun books. It's somewhere that you have to see if you're in the area. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors as well, Michael Bernardin of Remax Realty and Molly's Irish Grill and Sports Pub in South Bethlehem. If you'd like to reach out to us, hit us up in our show notes or just send us an email, info@LehighValleyWithLoveMedia.com. We can talk to you about advertising possibilities or getting you on the show. Now, on to Kacey Mitchell of Dirty Dollhouse on location at the Newtown Book and Record Exchange. I'm George Wacker, along with my co-host for our musical episodes, Phil Reese. Let's get to it. So this is a different setup. Phil, we're here in Newtown at the Newtown. Wait, see, you just gave me the card, and now I'm just kidding. The Newtown Book and
There's
Record
always
Exchange.
that great opening where we're just clean, crisp, well rehearsed.
Well, is it like we're on location?
True.
We're going to get into all the different reasons why, but this is really unique. I love vinyl. Clearly, I hope you love vinyl. We're here with Kacey Mitchell, who's the owner, and then also a member of the Dirty Dollhouse, and we're going to get into that first. But I want to talk about this because it's like a magnificent mess, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Like I could spend a week in here just going through stuff.
A week would not be enough.
How did you wind up here? Like, how did this happen?
Right out of high school, this was like my first paycheck job, my first on the books, have to report to the government job. And I just never left. There's something that is so nostalgic about this place, and I am like a hopeless, nostalgic, romantic person, and being surrounded by old things that used to belong to people, things passed down. It just gives me comfort, and also the fact that I get to listen to whatever music I want all day long. That has always been a big draw for me.
What was spinning when we came in?
The Beatles?
I was just playing Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It was the classic entry music was great.
Yeah, I thought, let's go with whimsy.
And so, what year did you purchase this?
I just purchased the store after working here. Oh gosh, I guess at that point I had worked here for over 15 years, and then I purchased it in December of 2020. Everybody knows 2020 was a great year.
Best time to purchase a bookstore.
A good year for risks, especially financial risks. So I just went with it, you know.
And I have to be honest. I haven't been in Newtown in a while. I haven't been out of my house in a while due to the pandemic. How is the scene down here? How do you enjoy having your shop in Newtown? It's beautiful as we're driving in.
Honestly, I just love this town. I grew up here. I am a lifelong Bucks County resident, and I spent some time at Bucks County Community College studying music and met a lot of wonderful people there. They have such a strong music program at that community college. It's really like top tier, and I just learned a lot about a bunch of different genres, got really into jazz there. made so many friends. Actually ended up meeting somebody who introduced me to my husband at that college. I went to Council Rock, so, this town will always be home to me. So it feels extra appropriate that I'm now making this my life's work to bring music to this town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And, just being a business owner is a different kind of resident. Like, that's really cool.
Yes. I described it once as a contract with your town. It's where it's, I'm not just a business person in town. I am a purveyor of knowledge, of comfort, of intrigue, of, whatever you come here for. It's not as simple as books and records. It's always something else, a gift, something to show.
There's a song in there. There's lyrics to forming there. I can see it, a purveyor of history there.
We were saying this just before we started, how many records I've purchased in the last year, and why is that? And I think it's because it's a way to kind of own it a little bit more. You have more time with it. It's more tactile. Sitting down and putting it on the needle is something. Have you experienced any revivals of new people coming in and trying vinyls or old books even? I
have experienced just a wide range of collectors since for as long as I've worked here, but in the past few years when this really saw a resurgence, I've seen people who collected 30, 40 years ago who come in lamenting that they sold their collection and they're starting over again because they miss vinyl. I have kids from the high school walking over after school, awesome. Just going through the dollar bin, trying to build their catalog, and there's something for everybody here. So I'm really happy to see people coming back to connecting with their music, because I can tell you 1,000% I do not have the same feeling about albums I just downloaded on Apple Music as I do about albums that I gave $20. I have the physical copy. I opened it up. I read the liner notes. I spun it front to back. There's no comparison about that level of interaction with your music and sitting with it. And the thing about record players is you have to sit near that record player and listen to the record. You can't just be walking around town with your headphones on, trying to absorb.
I guess you could, but you would look very awkward. It was
very, very awkward.
The Discman version of a record player.
Make sure you have the anti-skip protection.
Oh, God.
And if you're of a certain age, Google Discman, because you'll need help with that one.
Right.
How many people come in looking for your music, or even know that you're what? Do you have a sense of the ratio there that people may not even know you're this spectacular artist?
I am very bad at self-promotion. Comically bad, to the point where my band oftentimes does not want me at the merch table because I'm just you know what, just take it. Just you can just take it. Or people asking me prices and I'm like, it's clearly listed next to me and I lowball myself. It's 10, but just
do you really
5.
like it?
5 is good. And so that's been a struggle for me forever. I don't know why. I like making music. I don't like talking about myself making music.
Sure. Or maybe it's I don't want to say, but just, there's a business to it that might not be. It's I just want to make it and share it. And I get that there's a business to it, but
Yeah, that's not my favorite side of being a musician. I like being with my band. I like connecting with an audience and performing and making people happy. And beyond that, I do enjoy having a manager who does my dirty work. I do not particularly like slinging my own records. Although there is a copy in this store. It's funny to watch.
Find it.
Yeah.
It's funny to watch people pick it up and put it down and pick it up and look at me and
looks familiar.
Yeah, after a couple minutes of that, they're like, Is this you? I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
You'll have to decide.
Yeah. Maybe you should buy it and find out.
Yeah, there you go. But so, yeah, unfortunately, we are going to ask you some questions about
Oh, right.
That's why we're here.
Listen, we all did a shot before this. We're nice and loose. We're good.
So typically what I like to do is just kind of go back to the beginning and just kind of start it out. And from what I understand, primarily in whether it was middle school or high school, it was poetry that you were writing, but then you were taught, like people recognize you had also a very good singing voice, so you were learning how to sing and then set that to music. Is that kind of how it starts?
Yeah, I am very much an English major. I am very much that person who loved writing and reading and creating things, whether they were poems or just little scenes. Sometimes I would write like little mini plays, and I think I just never had the confidence of standing in front of people and singing until there was a woman at my church who was actually a lifelong opera singer, like a world touring opera singer with her husband. And she heard me in choir one day and she was just like, I will give you free lessons. What do you?
Nice.
So that really kind of changed my life because I was too shy to be like, I'm a star. I belong up there singing solos. I didn't think of that at the time. And then just one person believed in me, and that's all it took.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of times what we're hearing is that story around the one person who made you believe in yourself, and it changes the whole world.
Yeah.
Or do they give you like a different perspective? Like I've been doing it this way, and they're like, you know what? I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen what you do, and I think that it can work well in the things that I've seen, and that, like you just said, like generally can. Who knows? Like, why not take a chance?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I didn't take like your Mariah Carey voice lessons or anything like that. Nobody was training me to be a pop star. I have like over 10 years of classical voice training under my belt, which is strange to think about considering the music I write is not classical.
But it comes through. Like, I think that's what's amazing about your sound, and then where you're kind of impossible to put into a genre. Like, we always talk about this.
We were talking about this on the drive down here.
Where we were like, people always come to George and I saying, oh, you should check out this band at Musikfest. I'm like, well, what genre are they? I'm like, I can't even pick one because it's like 3 different types. And because any one of them would put that person in a mindset of either liking it and then not getting what they asked for, or not liking it and missing out on a great opportunity. So you do have these moments of, like, it does sound operatic in the most beautiful of ways. And then other times folky, and all the times singer-songwriter. And then they always kind of give you this, the reviews I've read where it's like, oh, and always this touch of Nashville.
Yeah.
I don't understand that one at all, but I guess what they're trying to say is it kind of has a country sound to it, but I would
listen.
disagree.
Anytime you have pedal steel on any song, they're like, "Oh yes, touch of Nashville."
Where have I heard that before?
Music Row.
But
Well, one of our friends, he said Roy Orbison. The one song we were listening to, he's walking around here.
yeah,
He said it sounds like a Roy Orbison song.
Roy is my favorite male voice of all time. He
John
is.
nailed it. He's
John-
over there.
So okay, well that was a
he's
very
an
astute.
angel.
That was an astute observation.
Yeah, he's an absolute angel.
So
Yeah, I would agree. And as soon as he said it, I said, you've got it right. I've always heard Joni Mitchell, which I don't really hear in a lot of reviews. But then I heard you say it once, and again, I think you're a really big fan of hers, too.
Yes. So I have Joni and then I have Roy. So if you were to ask me to just, like, you can only listen to 2 people for the rest of your life, I'm big on the vocals, where I can forgive a corny lyric or 2 if you sound like the angelic cherub that, that
you're
Roy
right.
is.
You're right.
I can forgive some of those old-fashioned lyrics because
It just sounds
nobody sounded like him. Nobody.
where does a young girl get into Roy Orbison? Like, how did you? Was
Probably
it
a
like
place
some?
like this.
Right. Well, it certainly helps to get an education when you're working in a record store for 16 years. But I learned everything I know about music from my dad.
Okay.
Neat.
Yeah, he was for lack of a better word, instrumental in my upbringing where, I understand some time has passed, but there are teenagers, 12, 13-year-olds who walk in and don't know who Led Zeppelin is. They don't know.
And they might wear the T-shirt.
I have a sad story about that.
Well, Target is really capitalizing on those band T-shirts right now. But and that's not. I don't blame them. I think, they're.
No, I mean
their clan has failed them.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Their immediate family, who should have been pumping them full of Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, that.
There was an NBA player who was getting a lot of love. He was wearing like Megadeth and Metallica stuff, and then he went on Twitter. He's like, "Guys, I feel bad. Like I don't really know these bands. I just really like the designs." So I think part of it's that too. Like those '80s metal. Yeah. I'm sure there's a ton in here. Like those albums were just. I was a little bit past at that point, but I remember my brother would be like, you look at those records, you're like, this is a world of what am I getting into? Like I'm taking this home and experiencing this.
Absolutely. It was weird a time when like rock and roll wasn't just a music; it was a lifestyle, and then you wanted to like take a little sliver of that from whoever you were admiring at the time.
I mean, I guess the thing with me, like I love and hate it because with Spotify, as much as it may be not good, I've also found bands through it that there's zero chance I would have found, who I've also purchased records from on vinyl, and they've sent them from France, England, and like. They have the return address on them. That's how, DIY some of this stuff is. So I think there's like a yin and yang with it, but I think they can work together because they're still making the records. There's still stores that you want to visit.
Sure.
So, like, I guess my point is I agree, and then I'm just kind of like, we're going to have to move forward. So how can it work together? Yeah. And I think it can. You're always going to need, like, that. What I love about the vinyls is that we're coming back to them, which means, like, people are attracted to them. It's not a fake revival. It's a genuine, like, we're purchasing them. There's money behind it. So that's energizing. It means that more bands are putting them out on vinyl than they're putting them out on CD.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I could be wrong on that. I think I saw that on the internet.
I think we're seeing a lot of, and, just being on the business side of dealing with the supply chain here, I have sometimes a lot of trouble, more trouble when a CD is back ordered than when a vinyl is back ordered. Where, let's say Dark Side of the Moon, which coincidentally has been back ordered multiple times this past year.
You imagine those guys still getting their royalties? Well, it's Pink Floyd.
Right.
That I know will come in sooner than if the CD version of that was back ordered. I just don't think the efforts and materials are being put into CDs because my car doesn't have a CD player. My laptop doesn't have a CD player.
Like if you look at it, like that medium was, I guess, good for the time, but it doesn't have the je ne sais quoi that a vinyl does.
Well, I was just telling somebody the other day that I'll never forget the smell of opening, like when CDs were in their peak, their prime, and you could tell that they were just manufactured, sealed up, sent off as quickly as possible. I remember opening that plastic and opening the CD and this chemical rush coming to your nose, like
it smelled like electricity.
The ink was barely dry on this, and now it's in my hands because it's the new, whatever it was. And I have a very specific memory of the Spice Girls CD smelling like that. Very specific.
The only one I remember, all that, and then Radiohead's Kid A came out, and then I had the CD. I'm like, it's cool. And then somebody said, I don't know how I found it. It was in college, so it might have been the internet, but they're like, crack open the part of the CD, the back end of it, right? And you wouldn't never, the tray where the CD sits.
There's like secrets.
If you cracked it open, there was more liner notes in it.
And
I'm like, well,
and
still it even now though, it still feels gimmicky compared to just, here's a vinyl with all this stuff in it. And,
right. They tried. Listen, I've seen a lot of trends being here for so long.
Sure.
And CD packaging. They really tried.
They had the big ones in the beginning. They were like,
I have some.
Ooh.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's wild. I haven't seen one of them in a million years.
Sealed.
Was there a reason for that? Were they just a stand up?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I guess you would flip through them like they were vinyl. I don't know.
that must have been why, because
I'm just,
two of them wide.
right?
Yeah.
It never made any sense to me. It was always like, look at all this trash.
But some of the bands, and Radiohead specifically, I do feel like they tried to make their CD packaging interesting.
Well, yeah,
Maybe for their own nostalgia of vinyl.
I think it was
but-
part of their marketing too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, and that stuff's noticeable to the consumer if it's like, oh, look at all these square rectangles of plastic, and look at this beautiful booklet with a, leather-bound whatever. Like I have seen some really creative ways that they package CDs, but
then the CD itself is just garbage.
right,
You scratch
the
it once.
CD
and it's-
itself was too. Like all the others, to me, it just felt like, oh, you're a little precious, aren't you? You're a little delicate. Can't take you to the beach, can I? Can't get any sand in that little.
Or I'm on the bus and I
pocket.
hit a pothole and it's
They used to like totally like completely just skip in the cars.
Right.
And then you
Yep.
like punch the dashboard and then it would start playing again.
Yep. CDs are still. I still have definitely a little corner of my heart dedicated to CDs because that's what I grew up with and that's what I remember. And I think that's the same with people older than me with vinyl, where, I have people who have no interest in buying vinyl, but they like to come in here and just flip through and see old album covers and take a trip
totally
down
see that.
memory lane. We will always be here for that.
Well, I came here. I told my daughter I'm buying something, probably a Christmas album. We need some more.
Oh, I got
Good.
some.
Well, put me I already have the John Denver. I have the Muppets Christmas. Well, my love of vinyl was my parents had vinyl. My mom passed away in 2010. I got her vinyl stuff, and then that's George Strait Christmas. And in the last year, the pandemic started. We just. Life slowed down for those couple months. We started I wanted my daughter to see a record. She's like, this is great. You can make it fast and slow. And then we started pulling them all out. So then we saw these other bands, they're all trying to sell vinyls. Like, why don't we buy a couple? And it just started that whole thing again. And it's been fun too, because when you collect one of these, they take up some room.
Yes, they do. That is part of your
And you
life
can
now.
display it. And
That's
it's
my
like,
friend's band.
Who is this?
Perfect.
Jacob the
Horse?
Jacob the Horse. I think that album art is really cool.
No, this is
definitely cool.
fantastic. Yeah.
And we need a Dirty Dollhouse Christmas album.
Yes, we do, I guess.
We have not talked about your music.
This is what I like. We always get on good topics, and I'm like, let's go
Like
back
20
to it. And Jordan's
minutes
like,
in.
we're rolling, let it go. And I'm like, no, we got to get back to the story.
Well, you were talking like and I'm going to let you because you know it more.
No,
but
you're-
like even with the Roy Orbison stuff, it's just interesting because from what I've listened to, it's very just introspective, deep. I don't know what I expected when Phil had said we got and I dove into it, but it's really interesting because you have that eclectic taste that you can't say, wait a minute, who is this exactly? And you're kind of chasing it, and I feel like that's part of the fun of listening to it.
Yeah, I don't think I have kind of a problem with artists where every song sounds the same, or if it's like
What you expect.
I don't even know. I can appreciate so many different kinds of music, but sometimes you'll get into a band and you'll fall in love with an album and then let me see what their back catalog is, or let me see what their newest album is, and it'll sound more or less the same. And I just if you're not evolving and you're not trying new things and if you're not branching out, I might kind of be done with you. I don't know, and I don't know why that is, but I do appreciate artists that take chances or that show me that there are many sides to their art, not just, hey, I can write a really good sad folk song. Here are 12 of them. I was like, oh, okay.
It must be, and I don't mean it, because I'm sure that is great, but I've seen some, I'm sure you all have, some bands who, they had that hit, and they try to get away from it, but it's still what everybody wants to hear.
Right.
It's like, that has to be... I mean, even though it's great because you're like, wow, we made a lot of money or we got popular from this, but we have to keep playing that.
Yeah.
Through.
So about the songwriting, I thought there was this interesting story I heard that the first college you went to in Princeton was...
Westminster Choir College.
Right, and that's obviously, where a lot of this formal classical training comes from, but then you transfer from there to Temple, and that feels more right.
Yeah, I think Westminster was lovely. I met some lovely people. And Princeton's obviously a beautiful place to hang around.
Oh, yeah.
I just, at that time in my life, did not want to be in quite that sheltered of an environment.
Right.
It just felt too small, and that
they're quite the extremes.
They are very extreme. I think I needed more options, and that was Temple.
Right, and I think this might help because I read this, and I'm sure it'll kind of get to your point, is that you wanted to be able to write a song however it was going to come to you. So if that was lyrics first, or if that was chorus first, or whatever, and it sounded like that other one had this more formulaic, and that just wasn't, you didn't feel like that was the right way to approach your writing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I don't, and whatever works for people.
Yeah.
I don't disparage. If a song is coming to you, you just run with it. Or if you need to sit down on your day off between noon and 3, and that is your writing time, and you have different prompts, good for you.
Sure.
I wish that it was that way for me.
Right.
I wish that I could, just jot down ideas in a book and then plan a time that I will feel inspired to work on them. I'm definitely more spontaneous, or it just will come to me, and if I feel the need to flesh out the idea as a song, I will.
Is that how, 'cause getting into the band, Dirty Dollhouse, how did that then kind of create itself from Temple? Was that... Well, you walk me through that.
So I graduated and then moved back to this area. I lived in Philly for a little bit, played a little bit, but was more... I'm sorry, everyone, for the uhs and the ums.
It's fine.
I'm so
it's
sorry.
like me thinking of a question.
I'm so sorry.
We come back here, you find a record store, you're like, I will own that in 10 years.
Yes, it just speaks to the genuine nature of the interview. So, please, don't worry about that in the slightest.
Now you're like...
So I graduated. I moved back to this area. I found some like-minded people who had, since moved on from college and were trying to figure out their lives. I just met a lot of musicians around, what was it? Sometime between 2009, 2010, 2011. I felt like I just kept meeting more people and playing with different people and experimenting with different lineups. And then around 2012, I began dating August Lutz, who is my husband now.
And guitarist in the band.
And guitarist of Dirty Dollhouse.
How convenient.
But Dirty Dollhouse back then did not look at all the way it does now, because I think I had kind of enough of bands. I felt like my songs weren't getting translated the way I wanted to on stage, and maybe that was because I wasn't forthright enough about it, or I if you couldn't tell, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
I can feel it.
I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings when they were doing an idea that I didn't particularly like.
Right.
Sometimes things spiraled, and then a song sounded nothing like what I wanted it to sound like, but it still sounded good. I just was like, oh, well, my original idea just kind of disappeared.
It's somewhere else now.
Yeah. So I met these girls through my husband who were just fantastic singers.
One was in the band he was in at the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amber Twait was in Levy Drivers for a bit, and also Vanessa Winters was in a band called The Lawsuits who don't exist anymore.
That's fun.
And I just got along with them personally, musically, everything. It was just really easy. And we had a great time singing together. And I felt like I rediscovered my love of writing songs because of them, because I was now sitting down writing 3-part harmony, thinking of them, thinking of producing songs just based on this vocal trio rather than, whatever hired hands I had playing drums, bass, guitar.
So it's more like a definitive, like you kind of know you're writing a part for a script that the actor's going to be doing a good job on.
My OCD took it back to square one. We took it all the way back to basics.
Can you do this, please? Yeah.
Yes. I just loved the simplicity of it and the fact that it was just me on guitar for 90% of our shows. Occasionally we had an upright bass, but...
Mm-hmm. Is that what you usually write on? Guitar, or do you...
Yeah, I always write on guitar.
Is there a story behind the name of the band, or was it just...
My English degree makes me a word nerd a little bit, so I thought, I love alliteration and I love contradiction, so let's think. And I just came up with Dirty Dollhouse, where it's like, can you even imagine this like pristine little pink and white dollhouse, but it's like filthy.
Yeah, no, I get that. Did you know, just fact, now it made me think of this, in Bethlehem at the Kemmerer Museum by City Hall is one of the world's, I don't want to say it's right, it's a humongous dollhouse museum.
Oh, wow.
This woman in New York City had this huge collection and passed away and bequeathed it all to the museum, and I think it's... I'll drop that in the notes. I don't know, it just made me think of it.
Oh, yeah.
We had our 100th episode there for the podcast.
Oh, very cool.
It's fun. It's a museum, but it's very much...
Dirty
based
Dollhouse
on
visits the Dollhouse Museum.
It's
based on see the episode.
Well, it's
already.
based on like there's fashion in there, so it's not like a I don't know what's the word for it. I don't know, it's like a textile museum almost. Like there's dresses in there. Like there's interesting things they have. They did a tattoo museum type thing. So I'll drop it in the notes. But yeah, that would definitely be one.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is the song "Nobody's Daughter" where things start to kick up a notch, or is there some other moment that?
No, that was it.
Yeah.
That was "Nobody's Daughter" was the song I wrote before Dirty Dollhouse had actually formed. I wrote that song and wrote these harmonies, and
people loved it.
I guess they did.
It's okay to say
they didn't hate it.
I guess, yeah.
No. Yeah,
I need my manager here to field those questions. Yes, they did.
No, they loved it.
Was
It
a
was
great
number
success.
one.
I'm going to edit some of that in there. Well, right, because I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone just for notes, but like it was showcased in the American Songwriter magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that old thing.
Yeah,
no big
I
deal.
guess it was successful. And then you
cares?
also, it was that the same time you were winning the Tri-State Indie Vocalist of the Year?
Yeah.
Oh, that award.
It's okay.
What is the Tri-State Indie Vocal? Like, who awards that?
There was
Free states.
this. I mean, it might still exist. I just think the people who ran it found other
Well, it's just
avenues.
interesting,
Yeah,
What state
it was based in Philly because the couple who ran Tri-State Indie, it was like this kind of media conglomerate thing, and they covered a bunch of shows and did interviews and stuff, and they were very cool and really important to the Philly music scene when I was starting. That's Steph and Rich.
Okay, yeah, and I meant that in a positive way. I'm just,
Yes.
it's interesting when you see that. I'm like, where is this coming? What are the states? Mm-hmm. Is it Delaware?
I
Is
don't
it Maryland?
know. I never asked which three states. I think it's...
I would assume it's Delaware.
Is it
Right.
Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey?
What? Well, New York's like, I guess.
Well, when I lived up there, it was always Tri-State, and it was New
Tri-State's
York,
like
New Jersey,
northern.
Connecticut, because I grew up on Long Island.
That's
I
like
don't
Tri-State
know.
to me always was like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
Right.
Listen, I won the award, and
No,
I was
it's
too
just- I'm
afraid
just-
to ask.
Could you imagine? You're like, wait,
Wait, what
I have a
states
question.
are these? I don't like New Jersey.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Anyway, well, listen, we've had bands say
No, I'm kidding.
who are from there. But so then Vinyl Child comes out in 2017. Speaking to your, and I'll cover you can take a sip because I have a little bit of an intro. You were talking before about how you want to see different things from different types of songs from the same artist. And that album has a lot of, various different sounding songs.
Yes,
somewhat right after each other. But I heard you say, like, you were happy with that. Like, you were glad with the way that came out.
I was happy that we got to explore so much on that album. And would it have been maybe more palatable to record buyers if it was a specific genre? Maybe it would have. I don't know. I don't write music so people buy it. I guess that's my...
I love that, though. Like, I think that's terrific.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's the best way to do it, I would assume, because there's so many of these bands.
True art. Like,
if you're going to that genre, it's like, that's great. I get it. Like, you can, I guess going back to my point, like the one-hit wonder thing, are you happier if you're doing the music that you enjoy, right? For the rest of your life? Or are you happier having that one-hit wonder thing that you have to play over and over again, that you eventually just, you have like bad feelings about?
Right. I am not comparing myself to Bob Dylan at all right now.
Okay,
but it's funny that somebody that should have the audience's trust at that point was like, basically they were upset that he was playing electric, that he sold out. Like, this guy is one of, if not the best songwriters of this or any century, and you're all not trusting him on this, that maybe he can play electric guitar, maybe he can move in this direction, maybe he can do something different than be this sad cafe guy spitting about politics. Like, maybe he can try something else.
I'll give my young teenage mind, when Vitology for Pearl Jam came out, and like Eddie Vedder was playing the accordion, I was like, what the hell is this? I'm in. Like, I trust you. Like, I really like your music. So, and then that kind of stuff made me more, I guess, open. I'm not going to say like that one song, but some of that stuff was kind of like, okay, I can hear this other instrument and not be like, oh no, that's this genre I don't listen to.
Yeah, which I'm also, now we're going to talk about Taylor Swift. Did you see that coming? Did you see it?
Here she is.
I did.
There was something about her evolution that struck me where, man, it was country, and then the turning point of the album Red, where you really get some of those pop sounds in there, like, not just, hey, this is not a typical country beat or tempo, the instrumentation, the what are they?
Like Shake It Off, right?
Yeah. Well, that's from 1989.
Okay, sorry.
But
I do know Taylor Swift. But,
yes.
But yeah, like Pink, right? Who's a Bucks County.
Right.
She started off total, I remember this because I saw her videos on MTV. Like, that was very much more rap-ish, harder R&B, right?
I don't remember.
Her first song was very more, it wasn't more rap, but it was that R&B, like late 90s type style. And then she kind of got more into the pop she's into now. I don't know. I mean.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I wish I knew. I don't know Pink's beginnings. I think she.
It wasn't bad. She just, it was different than it is now. Right.
And some audiences and some people allow the artist the grace to do that. They give them space to explore, and other people are like, oh, you're a sellout. Like, in what way? Just let them make the music that's speaking to them. If you don't like it, it's not for you.
Right.
I guess that's my whole
people are
thing.
afraid of change too. Like you have your band you like, and then if it sounds a little bit, you're like, oh no, I have to go down this thing. I want to just hear more songs that sound the same.
Right.
And I would think that's a person who doesn't.
It's a radio, right? It's a
challenge of writing a song. Like, they don't know what goes into that, and how you're just cutting your heart open and pouring it out. I mean, like, well, wait, do people want to even hear that? I mean, they're just going to be like, no, can you just give me the same?
Right. No, that's why I tell jokes on stage. I have learned. I'm like, girl, can I say S-H-I-T?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say shit.
So the shit that I write is a bit, it can be maudlin, I would say. Touch maudlin. And sometimes I'll play just the most sad sack stuff you've ever heard. and immediately follow it up with some quip on stage, or like, I'll just belittle myself, or I'll joke about the stupid hat I'm wearing. Just something like, yeah, it's too heavy in here right now. I don't want y'all sitting with this feeling.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, you talked earlier about being a hopeless romantic, and that's some of the lyrics that you write. Is a lot of that stuff, and I think it's so interesting. To be honest, like, it's such an interesting take on it. It's not your classic, like, heartbreak song. Like, the one that Honeyed Her Onto Us, I think, is such a very unique take on a breakup song.
Yeah.
It's such a different style, and it's so beautiful, and one of the best songs I've ever heard, to be honest with you.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That means a lot.
Yeah. No, and it's also the powerful vocals, and I'm much more a person who's into just the music, but when the vocals are just adding to it, it's just so great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I get a lot of help with Eric, my drummer, Eric Lawry. He has a beautiful voice, and it just sits with mine so nicely. And I don't think I've ever had that experience with a male singer before. I love singing with my husband. We have two very different voices, which is also wonderful and nice. It doesn't quite have that blend to it, where sometimes I feel like we're Johnny and June. Like, he has this deep, deep voice that is like amazing and has that gravel to it. And I'm like a soprano. It's like doing really high notes. So sometimes I struggle to meet him halfway with the keys that we sing in. Yeah. But with Eric, it just sits. It's just there, and we melt together vocally. And I'm so lucky that he wants to play music with me.
and how is it going? I mean, I know that you played Musikfest, and we're going to share some music from that.
Yeah.
Since then, have you guys been touring? I mean, I know that for all bands we talk to, it's nebulous, it's what have you, it's maybe taking some time away.
I love nebulous. That's one of my favorite words. Thank you. Thank you for using that.
I got to Google some big four-syllable words.
I would say we're not on a break or anything, because we're all still in touch. We all still very much want to play music for people, but this invisible reset button was hit in September, where I feel that people's works called them back to the office. Children were back in school who had been homeschooled for a year and change. All this stuff was kind of like, okay, back to reality. And my drummer's actually a public school teacher.
Sure.
So that happened. I own this business. Things are opening up more, and my bassist is actually a multi-talented man. He's a stand-up comic. He's in several different projects. He helps with Ballet X.
Wow.
He's all over the board. His name is Josh Machiz. Also incredibly lucky that he wants to play music with me. I just think we need to reconnect soon, which we are. We're getting together like a couple days, and we're recording a Live at 5 for Radio 104.5, so that'll be fun. But it's just been hard to gather together when we're all just pulled in these different directions.
Especially as a school teacher.
And especially when you're a school teacher.
Well, and running a business, you just, essentially, this is a brand new business that you purchased. It hasn't been that long since you've done it, so...
Yeah.
Honestly, even us coming down today, and I'm very happy, but it's just like, whew, okay, what's tomorrow going to look like for me? Am I willing to do that? Right. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I feel personally, when is this going to go out? This should be out in the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
I feel like the holidays are hopefully going to be that time we can recharge a bit and then come out in the spring and,
Yeah, I think this was a tough fall so far, not to mention this area experienced so much flooding, so much and
unfortunately may have some tonight, God.
Right.
So it's just been a tough fall and readjusting to the before times, trying to remember, okay, what's it like to be at my 9 to 5 again? I've been sitting in my pajamas staring at a computer screen. That's not my experience because I've been here the whole time, but for so many people, it's
or when
like,
you are out, you have that anxiety of being out.
Yeah.
Like I have a daughter, so it's like, okay,
I know.
what am I doing
Right.
here that's safe? So it is. When we don't have some of that, I think
I think we all could use some nice, quiet, easy holidays. We really could. Just some recharge time. Make plans to get them done
So, I mean,
next year.
You
and-
make like a holiday record. I think
That's what I heard. I heard that. Yeah.
We do have one holiday song called "Party Dress" that's on Apple Music, but I don't think I have a whole album worth
Or if you're
of holiday
interested,
songs.
in December we could do a live stream.
I will come back
you
down
and your
here,
husband
yeah.
doing some.
Oh
some
yeah,
Come
that
back.
would actually be really fun.
I thought that would. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, when I play with my husband, we go under cheap dates, which very accurately describes us and the sound we're going for.
that should be your spin-off pop band in Taylor Swift style, Cheap Dates.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And then, do you do any Johnny and June covers when you do?
We do, yeah.
Of course,
we
that's awesome.
we do Jackson together. And,
Oh, cool.
another favorite one? We actually did. I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry.
No.
It was a beautiful. It was a Tom Petty song we did together.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember which one, but it's one that shouldn't sound as sad as we made it sound. Everybody was like, "I didn't know that was even a Tom Petty song." I'm like, "Yeah, we really ruined it, didn't we?"
We back to the maudlin. We just threw that one in that bucket.
Sometimes you got to go sad.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
They go high, you go low.
I want to shop around. I was serious
Yeah.
with that Christmas
Well,
record.
One is
No,
just-
go ahead. Yeah,
Just to
yeah.
put the cap before we kind of finish off with Musikfest. The last
Right.
album that came out, Queen Coyote 2019,
Yes.
has a really cool aspect to it that I don't know that everyone would inherently
It
know.
was 2020, if you can believe that.
Well, okay. My research was. I'm going to have to talk to my research team, which is me.
The single came out in 2019.
That's
So
what
the
it was.
first single
Got it.
was 2019, but believe this or not, Queen Coyote came out March, I think it was 7th or 8th, and then the entire world shut down the next week.
Melted, yeah, like a week
So
later.
that
Do you
was
have
awful.
a
No, it
home
came
rec-
out on the 6th, I think.
Do you record? Do you have like a home recording studio, or where do you record?
We record. We've done a lot of different setups. We were in a friend's apartment. We most recently did a session at Hopetown Sound. And that was just like a giant, like open floor plan studio with some isolation booths. And that's how we did Queen Coyote. I really
That's
wanted
exactly
us
what I wanted
all
to-
to play together.
Right.
Because that makes such a difference. I do not like
Laying tracks.
laying tracks and piecemealing things
And I
together
think
because
that's
the
thing, is,
connection's
like,
lost.
if you like live music, you will love this recording because you can tell that it's not a live recording, but it was recorded live. I guess might be the way to say it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, obviously there were some overdubs and
But you're all playing together at the
we're
same
all
time.
playing
in the same,
the heart of the music is all happening at
and
the
you
same
can tell
time.
when you listen to it.
Yes.
Especially on vinyl.
I wish that was on vinyl. I know, but listen, do I have that kind of money? I don't know that I do. I might have to crowdfund. Y'all want
yeah,
Queen
let's do it. We
Coyote
should
on
do it.
vinyl?
Let's
Do a
Yeah.
Kickstarter to put Queen
We'll
Coyote
share it.
on vinyl.
Yeah. I can't
100%.
front this money, boys. I just bought a shop. I just bought
In the middle of a
whole-ass
pandemic.
store.
Well, that's
I bought
what
a
we'll
book
do.
and
The
vinyl.
holiday show. We'll ask for funds to you to be able to fund the vinyl.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's do it.
Easy peasy.
Anyway, so yeah, that kind of sums up how we got to here today. You've played Musikfest several times. What's your take? Like, how do you feel when you play there? Any good Musikfest stories?
We love Musikfest so much. One of my favorite Musikfest memories is playing in the theater, the
movie theater?
Movie theater.
Yep.
And the marquee, somebody screwed up and wrote, "Up next, Dolly Dollhouse." So occasionally my band just looks at each other and is like, "Dolly Dollhouse practice next week? Dolly Dollhouse?"
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite memories.
It's like on the Kid Bop record, Dirty Dollhouse.
We always enjoy walking around and stuffing our faces, and I got the poutine this past Musikfest,
Flying
which
V.
was
the Flying V.
beautiful,
Yeah.
just delicious.
That's the people who own that business. They're legit Canadians. Like that's why it's so good.
They had a Big Mac poutine, and I'm like, I have to purchase. I ate a third of it,
right?
And then I'm like, I don't know what I'll do with it. We took it home. It took me like 3 more days.
Oh my god!
But because it was that leftover food, you're like, I'm not gonna throw this away. But I'm also there's so much of it.
There's so much.
It's so good.
You need a friend.
They now have a storefront.
We should get them to sponsor us.
Yes, Flying V.
We love
Flying
you.
V.
We're not expensive.
Flying V presents the Dirty Dollhouse Christmas Spectacular.
We've already made it for them.
Yes, with Queen Coyote vinyl in its sights.
We can do it. We can make that happen.
I think we can. But yeah, so and back to like
where we are now.
Right? Yeah, like
now.
this future thing. Like, I guess I was hoping to hear. Yeah, we've got something booked for February. We just haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, no, I'm taking my time. I'm taking my time, and if I'm gonna play locally in the near future, it's really got. I want to make sure the audience feels safe, my band feels safe, and that it's worth the time for everybody. And I know that I'm dying to perform again, and have been since we stepped off the stage at Musikfest. So it's not far from my mind at any time.
But it's like you want to wait till you're 100%.
I just want to. I want to feel comfortable. I want to. We're really focusing right now on recording another album.
That's awesome.
So I've been writing a lot and talking to an engineer about getting that started. So there's stuff in the works. You might not see us live for a little bit, but I promise it will be posted everywhere when we are again, because I miss everybody. I miss that.
That's awesome.
The
whole
whole
thing,
thing,
the
whole
audience,
shebang.
Nothing like it.
Well, we'd love to. I mean, honestly, and I'll leave my card with you. I mean, you'll have my info, but we would love to come back to do something. I mean, we're Lehigh Valley with love, but what is it now? It's wherever. Hopefully, that can expand, and we want to reach
Southeastern
more.
We're
PA
sister
with
counties,
yes.
right?
Well, it's just it doesn't have to be. I get made fun of because I'm in Bethlehem. They're like, you don't leave Bethlehem. Well, here I am down in Newtown.
Right,
So,
exactly.
So take that and shove it. He's in Newtown, everybody.
So what bars are we going to hit up after this? Actually, we're going to Philly.
Yeah, we're going to Philly. And to your point about feeling safe at shows, all the shows that I'm now buying tickets for, all are mandated vaccines for all attendees. So I think venues and artists are kind of insisting upon that. And if people want their money back, they can have it. Well,
it's time to get back, and it's like if we want to do it or we don't. So.
Yeah, I mean it's readily available, it's free, it's proven. So there's no reason not to. And if you're still of that mindset, that's fine. You just can't go to a show.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think it's important to even if you feel that you're of a sound constitution and you're not at risk, to think of, there's people in my family who are immunocompromised. One of my very best friends is immunocompromised, and you're doing it for them.
Correct.
As more than you're doing it for yourself. Sometimes you're doing it for them. So
that's why I do it.
Yes, absolutely.
On that note,
yes,
we're gonna look around.
Yeah,
I gotta buy food.
They're closed today, so
it's not. Well, John's right. Newtown Book and Record Exchange. We're going to have all the stuff in the show notes for people who want to learn more about where we are, because I'm sure, it's visually interesting. So we want to check it out. And we appreciate
it's basically not quite an hour down here. So you can, if you're on, a kick to buy a certain vinyl, I'm going to guess it's here, or a used book.
And there's plenty to see in Newtown.
Plenty to see in Newtown.
The
great
oldest
foods.
and longest running movie theater in the country, I believe.
How about
and it's
that?
just down the street. We have
Make a day of it.
we have the Temperance House, where there's so much historic shit around here. just
learn history.
Right, yeah.
Is it haunted? Is there anything haunted?
You gotta believe there's
haunted.
ghosts.
Yes,
There's ghosts.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah. And then all the Dirty Dollhouse links and stuff.
Everything's in the show
We built a
notes,
Spotify playlist of all the people we interview, so we'll have that out there. We'll edit some of the video we have from Musikfest into this, so that'll be in there, and then we'll link to some of your the YouTube channel and that kind of stuff as well.
We'll go for 30 minutes, an hour later, which is great. That was great. fantastic. I
Yeah,
love
thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you so much, Chelsea.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you again to Chelsea Mitchell of Dirty Dollhouse and the Newtown Book and Record Exchange. You can find out more about both in our show notes. DirtyDollhouseMusic.com, NewtownBookandRecord.com. We are the Lehigh Valley with Love podcast, and we hope to talk more to you guys soon. Hit us up, info@LehighValleyWithLoveMedia.com. We would love to interview you, get your business on our podcast, or do something fun. I'm George Wacker, and we'll talk soon.
Looking for a bigger home? Find Mike. Looking to downsize? Find Mike. Looking for a home in the Poconos? Find Mike. Looking for your very own bat cave? Find Mike. When looking to navigate the Lehigh Valley real estate market, the first move is to always find Mike Bernardin with Howard Schaefer and Associates of RE/MAX Real Estate. He can help you build the right game plan to achieve all your real estate goals. Whether it be a home with 10 bathrooms, a home with a large garage to park your Tesla or vintage Ford Pinto, or just something perfect for you and your family, finding Mike Bernardin is always the best way to go. So, what are you waiting for? To make all your Lehigh Valley real estate dreams come true, all you have to do is find Mike Bernardin with Howard Schaefer and Associates of RE/MAX Real Estate.